Alright, hello everyone. Glad you could join me today. I want to talk about the remaining F-14 variants Gaijin's probably going to put into the game at some future date. Quite a few members of my audience think the reason why Gaijin is keeping the F-14A early at 11.7 and, instead of bumping it up to 12.0 is because another F-14 is coming to fill that spot. From the perspective of what's worth implementing though, there's only the F-14A Late, the F-14B, and the F-14D Super Tomcat. So I want to quickly go through each one, highlighting what the difference with each variant is. Alright, so we have the F-14A Early, which represents a pretty good baseline for the Tomcat in the game at 11.7. It could be at 12.0, but it is 11.7 because there's some limitations. I'll talk about that later on. But the F-14A Late is the next logical version of the aircraft, and this newer version of the Tomcat, it still has the TF30 engines, but it has the P1414 Alpha instead of the 412As. I won't go into detail here, but the engine story of the F-14A is a real tragedy. There certainly is a lot of drama, that I don't want to put in here concerning the Pratt & Whitney TF30s on the F-14. Just be glad Gaijin doesn't model compressor stalls. It would be pretty tragic for US teams, as soon as they go defensive. Probably half of them would be smoking holes in the ground. But the main draw here of the F-14A Late will be the new weapons. Gaijin could give it the improved AIM-54C Phoenix, which would be really welcome. I mean, it's not a great missile against maneuvering fighters, but it is a useful tool, at least to scare people. But the real killing power will be the AM-7M, which I would give the F-14A Late. The new monopulse seeker on the AM-7M Sparrow, of course, gives it lots more capability, lots more lethality really. And the centerpiece, of course, would be the all-aspect AM-9L that the F-14A Late should get. So like I said, I'm giving it the 7Ms, but Gaijin could be like, nah, we're just going to give it the 7Fs, for balance sake. Regardless though, if the AM-7M doesn't make an appearance on the F-14A Late, I still think it'll fit nicely at 12.0 because it at least will have the all-aspect infrared missile capability in the 9L. So the F-14A Late still retains its dumb bomb abilities, and that's when we go into the next one here, which will be the Tomcat to Bombcat transformation. So the F-14B, or the Bombcat, is going to be a significant upgrade for players as you get new, more powerful engines, the F110 GE400. Now, like I said, no engine drama here, but the GE400s were really good for the plane. It was a really good development. But the F-14B has other features, an improved mission computer. It's a glass cockpit now, so new displays. It has an advanced ALR-67 version 2 radar warning receiver, and it also has the ALE-126 jammer. I'll talk about jammers in the next jet. So to make this jet feel like an actual upgrade in air realistic battles, it at least needs to get the A7M by now. I'd be happy if it got the AIM-7P, which it was also capable of carrying. And of course, all aspect infrared missiles are standard now, and that could be in the form of the 9L or the 9M. Will Gaijin give it the 9M? Probably not, it'll probably stick with the 9L. The real centerpiece though of the F-14B Bombcat is its ability to carry a lantern pod now and use laser-guided bombs and JDAMs. The improved strike capability will make this a compelling choice for ground realistic battles. Alright, so the next up and the end of the road really for the F-14 story is the F-14D Super Tomcat. Now this is the final and ultimate version of the jet. It still has, it still was able to pack in some really good features though. It retained the G400 engines, which was really good for the flight performance of the jet. But it also gets a new radar, really a derivative of the AWK-9, which is the APG-71, which had some pretty advanced tracking capabilities. It also finally gets a good infrared search and track set, the AN/AAS-42, which is pretty good. The jet also packed more modern defensive systems in. It has the ALR-67V4 radar warning receiver, and like I said, I talk about the jammers again. It also featured the ALE-126 jammer, which I think it's about time for Gaijin to start modeling in jammers on fixed-wing planes in the game. It's got to be coming soon, right? But you also get the lantern pod, which is, of course, standard on the F-14B, and you still get, the use of laser-guided bombs, and you get JDAM capability. By the time the F-14D is introduced, it really should have the AIM-54C. If Gaijin for some reason had been scared to introduce it on the previous ones, it should have the AIM-54C by now. It should also have the AIM-7P by now, and also the AIM-9M by now. Sadly, this is where the F-14 will start to fall behind its contemporaries. The main reason being is that the F-14 never got the AIM-120 AMRAAM, as it was deemed too expensive to integrate. Subsequently, the F-14D was phased out of service in 2006, so I don't really know if this jet would be a 12.3 BR jet or higher. It will not be able to compete, like I said, with jets that have more modern active radar homing missiles with higher PK rates. The AIM-54C could be tweaked for balance, but only Gaijin knows and what they're going to do with that. I think it's up to them. So overall, this is where we stand. So the current F-14A early in the game, Gaijin's made up their mind. It said 11.7. I thought it could have went to 12.0, but they said no. So it's going to stay at 11.7 at least for now. So now we're just looking forward here on what is to come. But closing out here, the F-14A Tomcat, is one of my favorite planes. I think the F-14 line in the game has a lot of longevity. Of course, Gaijin's going to milk it just like they did with the F-4s, so we're going to see all of these F-14s sooner or later. Alright, so before I close up here, one last word on the F-14D Super Tomcat. I anticipate by the time this jet comes into the game, we'll be at 12.3 BR or higher. I anticipate as well that AMRAAMs will already be in the game, but I don't know how good or bad Gaijin will make the AMRAAM. Or for that matter, even how good or bad the R-77 will be, or missiles like the Mica. So it's really up to Gaijin where they're going with this. I would hope that the Super Tomcat, they would put it in a position where it would actually be competitive and fun to play in the game. Alright guys, so enough bloviating on this subject. Let me know what you think about the future of the Tomcat in the game, and also the future of more effective active radar homing missiles like the R-77, the AMRAAM, and the Mica in the game. Hopefully like I said, the Tomcat's future in the game is pretty solid, and Gaijin will find out a way to make it work. Alright, peace out. I'll see you in a future video. Thanks.